media accounts of, and I'm sure they're doing some correspondence as well with parents, but just something to keep in mind as schools are getting close to that release time. But Kason was just circling there that rotation. And Kason, could we maybe draw also a fan on that to kind of see if we can get more cities in the path here? But this is just starting to get close. I'd imagine the rotation very close to highway, or I-380 rather, and it moving at about 55 miles per hour, well, to the northeast there, the other way. But we have Walker in the path here, heading to the north and east toward Independence. Rowley also then outside of the warning box, at least if it were to continue that way, towards Winthrop, Lamont and Backbone. And so this would be all within the next basically 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes perhaps, based on how quickly the storm is moving. So just between Benton and Center Point here is where the rotation is, around Highway 150, and moving out of northeastern Benton County. And this includes a sliver of Lynn County. So in the northwestern quadrant of Lynn County, you may be hearing the sirens going off, and that is because there is a sliver of the county included in that. That does include this town of Walker. So that's something to keep in mind. That's why those sirens are going off. But otherwise, this then extends into Buchanan County here toward the city of Independence. And the other side of this is, well, it's probably not going to be very easy to see if there is a tornado. Yeah. Yeah, obviously.
Thing that we're kind of been watching was the potential development of these kind of circulations on the backside of these systems, which is what we're seeing right now. Along with it, obviously, we are concerned about that tornado warning. That severe thunderstorm warning, which is covering obviously a good chunk of the area, is also warned for 70 miles per hour winds right now. So that's the other concern that we have with this, along with obviously we can get some of these tornadoes to be spinning up, but those gusty winds that we're seeing there. So that area of rotation up there, just in the northeastern corner there, kind of Benton County, we're looking at that area of rotation that we're kind of concerned of, pretty much right over Interstate 380 right now. That would be between Brandon as well as Center Point. So we always talk about people, what do? You know somebody who might be driving in that area, try and get them off the roadways if possible. They're trying to get off at one of those exits either before Brandon if they're heading south, if they're heading north from Cedar Rapids to Waterloo, get off at that Center Point exit, try and get into a business there, at least just kind of hold off and be able to stop. But we're still seeing sort of that area of rotation there right around right in that box there, just top of Interstate 380 right now, and I just noticed something went off.
Maybe took a hit to the tower there. We have quite a bit of lightning going on. I do want to mention also, Kason, let's zoom out and go down to the south here. Pretty prolific now in terms of, can you turn the lightning on on the radar? We have quite a bit of lightning and thunder going on here in Cedar Rapids. Sirens are also going off because they have increased the warning in Cedar Rapids and Lynn County for 70 mile per hour winds, I believe they're starting to do for the severe thunderstorm warning. So if we could get the box on that one as well, see if it will show that update. So sirens are going off across Lynn County for 70 mile per hour winds. This was a concern that if we saw some intensification with this first line of storms, that we could see something pick up. Now it's turning into this issue of the winds of 70 miles per hour and then also this tornado threat. But 70 mile per hour winds starting to come into Cedar Rapids. I know there are probably parents, unfortunately, trying to pick their kids up right now with these storms. And if you have your partner or you have a friend you know is trying to pick up their kids as well, we need to make sure that they're aware of the situation, and hopefully schools are being able to do some correspondence in that respect. But we do have some very strong winds starting to move in. If we could put the velocity on, we can try and see, you can definitely see the bright colors here. So this is indicating some strong winds here. If we maybe do a query on a few spots, see if we can find some of the strong winds. It's going to pick up the warning, but I guess 51 miles per hour there showing up. And mind you, we are pretty far away from the radar site, so we could be seeing some even stronger winds than that at the surface potentially. But I can hear the sirens going off here, and that is because of the 70 mile per hour warning. So yeah, a couple of spots where you can see some of those 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts that could be occurring with these storms as well. And it's not necessarily the hail, but I mean, we can just hear the rain and the wind pounding against everything here as well. So we can go back up to that tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for Lynn County, and I believe that's until 3:15. And then we have this tornado warning here for Benton. Basically, looks like going to be entering Buchanan County at this point.
Yeah, that seems like that is the track still. Obviously, us, along with the National Weather Service, continuing to monitor things. Man, if you're here in Cedar Rapids right now, we've got like rain that's probably falling pretty much sideways right now, hitting the door here. So obviously, we're worried about those strong winds. Noticing that potentially area of rotation that we are looking at here. Likely going to be just to the north now on that northeast side of Interstate 380. We'll try and get you kind of a circle on where we could potentially see where that area of rotation is, potentially where we could see that tornado forming. So it's pretty much between Brandon as well as Walker right now. This is starting to work its way to the north and east, obviously working its way into Buchanan County here within the next couple of minutes, and we'll see that ahead. We'll kind of pull things out just a little bit more here, just to kind of give you some of those areas that could potentially be in the path of this circulation and this tornado warning. We'll be looking at Independence as well as Winthrop. Quasqueton, you are going to be in the path of this, so make sure you're getting into that safe place right now. We always recommend the basement if you can get there. We know not all homes have basements and whatnot, so try and get one of those interior rooms or closets right now. That would be the best bet to kind of protect yourself from this circulation. A lot of lightning ongoing with this storm as well, strong winds. That's really the case going on across much of the area. Even if you're not in that tornado warning right now and you're in that severe thunderstorm warning, some pretty tough conditions. Whether you're out driving, try and maybe get off those roadways just a little bit to try and save yourself kind of maybe some whiteout conditions in terms of just the overall heavy rainfall that we are seeing.
Yeah, and we do have this tornado watch that's out until 8 p.m. That was, one side of the coin that we were concerned about today, but we also then had the concern for the threat of some strong winds as well as large hail. And the other concern that we have been talking about was the fact of that we could be potentially seeing the wind kind of take over, and that is what we're starting to see now. We have a spotter report of 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Cedar Rapids. That's the latest that's come out there. And we do have additional warnings, I think, that they're issuing to the east as well. I'm not sure if they downgraded that warning from the 70. No, they still have it. So this is considered a considerable severe thunderstorm, strong winds. You hear the sirens going off. That is because of that 70-mile-per-hour wind going on. And we do have the tornado warning that is still ongoing as well. Trying to see if there's any new information that's come out here, but we have not had any confirmation, which is good news. But there's quite a bit of rain ongoing. It looks like the southern storm got warned here, southern side of Cedar Rapids. So we just have a whole lot going on now with multiple warnings being issued, and we have some of these differences where to the south they don't have the necessarily 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but the southern side of this storm through Iowa City, North Liberty, Solon, Lisbon, Clarence, Anamosa, that's till 3:15. Oh, sorry, I need to get on that one. That's until 3:45. That's 60-mile-per-hour winds. This one's 70-mile-per-hour winds going through Cedar Rapids. And then we have the tornado warned storm. We also do have other storms ongoing. There's a warning that is to the west in Fort Dodge, a tornado warning that had been confirmed earlier, and they've had it kind of up and down there. There's also this warning up in Chickasaw County for 60-mile-per-hour winds and could be some maybe quarter-size hail in some spots as that extends through Chickasaw through New Hampton. And then there are these thunderstorms that are moving through southern Iowa, and this is for 60-mile-per-hour winds. Looks like a bit more of some hail possibly developing there, and potentially some rotation ongoing. We do have Brett Adair, who is a storm chaser who is down there right now, and I can definitely see the storm passing through. Not necessarily a whole lot of structure or what I would look at for concern of a tornado there. However, these storms could still have the potential. There is a lot of wind shear in place that is going to lead to the possibility of some tornado development. But our tornado warned storm up to the north here, we do not have currently any confirmation on this, but this is where the rotation would be, just to the northeast of Brandon. Not necessarily a really tight couplet or where we would see very, very tight rotation, but we do have the potential that we could see some rotation here. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit better view on my phone. It's just kind of a little messy there, but it seems like maybe right in here around Quasqueton and Rowley is where the rotation would perhaps be. I'm getting a little bit better view on my phone. That's also where there's some hail showing up, so probably some indication of some mid-level rotation that's going on. But if this is right along the warm front, what's happening is it's interacting with this warm front and helping draw it down to the surface potentially here. We haven't gotten any reports though, Kaysen, anything?
Nothing really. No reports on whether or not we can confirm that there might be a tornado on the ground. We haven't seen anything like that. I'm not seeing really any new updates to that potential, the tornado warning that we're looking at, as well as that severe thunderstorm warning that is covering portions of the area right now. We haven't seen any updates from the National Weather Service on kind of what their plan is and whether or not they want to keep it going, or any reports of any confirmations on anything.
And we do have that still going until 3:15 here. We also do have this issue. Let's go down to the south into Cedar Rapids here and look at the velocities on this in terms of the wind. Still 70-mile-per-hour winds basically going through the heart of Cedar Rapids at this time. Right probably in there on the south side of the city, we're seeing some of the peaks of some of those winds, and I don't know, that 10-mile, there we go. 60-mile-per-hour winds there. And that's pretty consistent in a lot of those spots. So certainly that's why the sirens were sounded. We also have some reports of 40 to 50-mile-per-hour winds going through portions of Iowa City as well, down to the south there. But this is not a storm that you want to be out in, and this is going to be continuing to move to the north and east. And thankfully, once it passes, we do get into a little bit of a break there around the Cedar Rapids area at least.
Yeah, so obviously, folks in Benton as well as Lynn County, that tornado warning just off to our north has been kind of canceled for you. Obviously, this will be strictly for Buchanan County now that we are going to be watching this out for. Still going until 3:15. You're looking at areas like Independence, Winthrop, Quasqueton. You are still included in this warning, so we hope you're taking safe care of yourself, getting into that kind of tornado space that you need to be in, a safe spot, and make sure you're kind of taking care with that. Still just not really crazy on the velocities that we're looking like with that. Still probably near Quasqueton is where maybe we're seeing a little bit of something there on your screen, but overall it's kind of tough to see, at least at this point. It doesn't help that we are pretty far away from the radar, but obviously you're going to have a good rush of wind out of this regardless, some hail ongoing as well. I'm going to just expand things out just a little bit further to kind of show everybody kind of what's going on. Obviously, we still have those severe thunderstorm warnings here in the Cedar Rapids metro area, just to the south of that, including portions of Iowa City as well. This specific one for Cedar, Johnson, Jones, and Lynn County, going until 3:45 this afternoon. So got a while on that one still. Obviously, if you're in Solon, Lisbon, you're dealing with some gusty winds right now, some heavy rain, probably some lightning as well ongoing. We'll turn that on, and you can see some of those areas seeing some of that kind of stingy lightning right now. And obviously, the farther north you go through Cedar Rapids, we've still got wind ongoing here, but some pretty strong wind gusts. This one still warned for 70 miles per hour in Benton, Buchanan, Delaware, Iowa, Johnson, and Lynn counties. Of course, that does include the Cedar Rapids metro area. We felt the winds here, heard it. So obviously, not just a tornado threat, but dealing with some strong.
County Emergency Management says that there's rotation at 265th and Quaxkee, oh goodness, Diagonal Boulevard. and then saying wall cloud heading towards Winthrop. So Winthrop's right there. So I mean, I think we've been kind of right on where the rotation has been. So the good news is that means that somebody has eyes on it, and we do not have any necessarily confirmation of tornado, but we do have still some rotation that's ongoing, and they are trying to find out if there's been any, perhaps, any damage that has occurred from it. So it's definitely a pretty muddied image up there. I don't know if we can get to a different radar site at all that would help, but that's kind of right on the edge of the radars. But it seems like the rotation would be right around Quasqueton, Winthrop, and almost kind of a secondary area, or just the, I mean, with the amount of shear in the atmosphere, this is just kind of what you can expect to see, kind of some of these rotation markers. So it does look like there's almost a little bit more trying to spin up around Independence.
Yeah, obviously noting that a little bit. Haven't seen it in the National Weather Service mention that, but obviously when we get some of those higher wind velocities there, and then you've got the red meeting the green, which is sort of what you're always kind of look at there, and maybe a little bit of a secondary area there of rotation, certainly
Yes.
near Independence here. Obviously, this warning has a couple more minutes on it. It goes till 3:15, so it's 3:08 right now. We've got about 7 more minutes on that warning, so we'll kind of see how things go here, but make sure you're staying in your safe spot if you are in this
Yeah,
warning.
I would just say, you know, if you are in the Winthrop area and near north of Quasqueton, Independence, if you're thinking of heading out, I know this is a time where, you know, maybe with the kids getting out of school, you also maybe have appointments going on, people trying to think about leaving work around maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, or hopefully adjusting plans today. This is not going to be something you want to drive out in because we could potentially see some tornado development if we're seeing a wall cloud and some lowering. That's kind of step one before a tornado development. Let's take it down to the south as well towards Cedar Rapids because this is also of concern with winds gusting as high as 70 miles per hour. We've at least gotten some confirmation of 65 mile per hour wind gusts, and some heavy rain is falling here as well. I don't know if our weather station back there has anything on it, but I've just gotten a report too that there's some street flooding in Cedar Rapids on the southeast side, and we do have some rain, especially in the southeastern part of the area that fell last week that was saturating the ground. So we start to get some rain that overwhelms the ground here. That definitely is going to lead to some potential flooding on some of the streets and some ponding. We do have a DOT camera, I'm guessing, in the Cedar Rapids area. So here's Diagonal Drive and on I-380, a lot of people out and about right now. So we do have some very strong winds, and that's starting to leave the downtown area. The storm's just starting to clear this area on 380, and we are going to see the bulk of the wind now. It's heading right through the Marion area at this point, so we're definitely still hearing it here on the northeast side of Cedar Rapids. If we have any cameras maybe toward Marion, that might be something to see too, or around the Springville area as well. And so this corridor, we're seeing some of those higher spots of red. That's also where the stronger winds are. So here's Highway 13 and 7th, and there's still some bit of wind shaking some of the light poles there, but looks like things are not terribly heavy in terms of the rainfall. Certainly some rain is falling and has fallen, so you want to take it easy as that is happening out there across the area. We have the rain falling, and just take it slow, as well as, if you don't have to leave the house right now, just don't. But we do have these strong winds right to the east of I-380 at this point. A lot of it kind of riding right along Highway 151, and so towards Manchester, Anamosa, Wyoming, Monticello, Dyersville, Cascade, we're looking at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds within the next about hour of all of those, but we would be talking about Manchester within the next 20 minutes, Anamosa within the next about 30 minutes, and we will see then those winds heading toward the storm, at least heading toward Dubuque County if it maintains its strength. But it is going to get into an area of some maybe less favorable conditions, which would allow for some weakening. We have another view here from Marion on the DOT. There you go. There's Highway 100 and Highway 13. So there's that heavy rain. I mean, some torrential rain. That could certainly lead to some ponding and lead to some things adding up there. We have, Grace, are you mic'd up back here too? Do you have any reports? Have you seen anything, social media,
Not around
National
here.
Weather Service?
Not around here. I'm just seeing things more to our west, over by like Rockwall City.
Yeah, so they still are watching that tornado out to our west as well. So there's been a lot of reports coming out of there.
And Bloomfield.
Yeah, so we do have our tornado warning. In terms of this one, they have not had any reports of damage or a tornado. But if we zoom out, let's just fully zoom to the west, there's that pink box near Fort Dodge. That is confirmed tornado, and we do have some video of the Rockwall City tornado. Well, look at that one. That's where the sun came out, and there's a tornado, and this is definitely a more kind of higher base, kind of getting out of maybe that kind of environment we were anticipating near the warm front initially, but that's a tornado, and that's a result of how much of that wind shear and spin we have in the atmosphere.
Yeah, and it kind of also says too, and we've talked about it the last couple of days on whether or not we could maybe get more of some discrete thunderstorms, maybe some that were a little bit more individual, kind of by themselves. And even with the high base that you can see on that potential tornado, that particular cell and that discrete supercell is all alone by itself, so it's really able to kind of use the environment to its advantage there. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing images from those specific areas, and we'll kind of have to watch as we go throughout the rest of this evening how things kind of transition out there in western and central Iowa, and whether or not we're going to see some impacts around here, maybe as we head a little bit deeper into the evening here.
Yeah, the kind of thought was maybe there would be some additional development that would start to happen there, but haven't really seen that. Definitely are going to see this area of concern with the tornado threat now. If nothing else comes of it, that warning will expire here in the next 2 minutes. Now, the other issue continues to the south, and I would, let's check in on the, yeah, we have these southern storms too. So we have this Ottumwa storm that is getting close to Keokuk and Washington counties. I don't know if we can throw the velocity down there and just zoom in on Ottumwa, kind of see what the situation is there. We have a new tornado warning, but Ottumwa, there's some rotation to the east, and I know we have some spotters on that storm, so we'll certainly keep an eye on that one. 70-mile-per-hour winds. So here is a look. I mean, that's an ominous sky. This is Brett Adair, and so I mean, there's definitely some lowering and I'm sure some rotation ongoing. It's a little difficult to see from my vantage point here. Perhaps some fingers and some funnel cloud trying to develop there. So something we'll be watching for sure as that is approaching our area as well. Then back to eastern Iowa, and we now have a new tornado warning that's been extended till 3:45. So this includes Buchanan and Delaware counties now. They're letting go of the other warning. So important to note here that Kaysen had mentioned already as well that portions of Lynn County and Benton County had been released from that warning. And we do have now Buchanan and Delaware into this warning here. So still appears near Winthrop, maybe to the northeast of Winthrop now that we have that rotation. And I forget I can also pull up the National Weather Service on my phone here, but I don't know that they have any additional information that has come out about that.
Nothing, obviously. Radar indicated once again, and then the storms are obviously moving very quickly. We're talking 50, 55 miles per hour that this particular cell that we're watching in this tornado warning. So these things are booking it very, very quickly across the area.
I will say there's a report, Highway 20, eastbound, mile marker 261. I don't know that there's cameras there. Semi on its side, and the highway is blocked. That is, I have no idea what a mile marker, but that would, I would imagine, I mean, somewhere between Independence and Winthrop is probably that. And we could check the DOT map as well and see if they have anything for that. But that is, we can see if that's attributed to at least the wind or if that's attributed to possibly a tornado, but they are continuing the tornado warning.
And we're continuing to watch, obviously, the severe thunderstorm warning that is within, or I should say, with this tornado warning as well. That's just getting updated across the area. We're still looking at 70-mile-per-hour winds on this particular warning. Obviously, Cedar Rapids, we're almost out of it, the Cedar Rapids metro area, so things will start to calm a little bit more around here. Very oddly shaped polygon that we've got going on.
I
that's
think
for
they're
sure.
Meeting the northern edge of their area here, but I think we have the winds, especially to the south. I do want to make mention of this southern one too, in terms of just the severe warning, because they've extended this one. Well, this one's for 60 miles per hour, Solon to the north and east, and then our second one up here. So Lisbon's getting ready for some stronger winds, and then Kaysen, let's just go to the northern one. There we go, towards Cedar Rapids. We have Central City is getting ready for those winds. So let's turn the velocity on, because we can then point out some of those spots of the high winds, because this continues for a 70-mile-per-hour warning, and 70-mile-per-hour winds can do quite a bit of damage. And unfortunately, if people are out on the roads right now, and I would imagine there's a 70-mile-per-hour wind being examined by the radar there. So we do have, a lot of people probably out trying to pick kids up from school, or if you're leaving work. And if you know anyone who's out and about, I mean, this is going to be right on this Highway 13 corridor to the east, heading towards Central City, up Highway 151, Anamosa and Monticello here. And let's actually zoom out a little bit and put a track just on this whole line again and kind of talk about some of the timing here. So it's 3:18. We have had some spotter reports, at least, of some 65-mile-per-hour winds. And I know sometimes it's just like, oh, a severe thunderstorm warning, but the sirens get sounded for these because these can still do damage and can still cause problems like a tornado. But we do have kind of these maybe more localized areas where we're seeing those spikes and those stronger winds, and it's not necessarily going to be visualized like a tornado. But around Central City here, within the next basically 5 to 10 minutes, as Manchester before 4 p.m., as well as around Edgewood, Monticello around 4:10, Cascade around 4:30, and then 4:45 around Dyersville if it holds together. And so we do have as well, they are saying on this warning here, Kaysen 2, that they're just saying tornado possible, I'm assuming, along this line. So
yeah,
if you could take off the cities, we can just kind of see these little divots of where there's possible rotation, and that's where we could be seeing maybe these quick spin-ups that even happen, and that was kind of what initially triggered the first tornado warning there.
I'm going to go up north a little bit. We do have a new tornado warning that has been issued from La Crosse. This will include Clayton and Fayette counties. You are now under this. We were kind of watching to see what the National Weather Service in La Crosse was going to do, and yes, they have issued a new tornado warning there for Clayton and Fayette counties. This will go until 3:45 this afternoon, and once again, these storms are just moving at 55 miles per hour right now, kind of located just to the south and east there of Olwine.
Yeah, that's about what I was going to say for some rotation, maybe
Yeah.
right in that a little speck there around south of Olwine, just about right here. I'd say that's probably where the rotation would be. And so this is, these are situations where it's going to be, first of all, if you turn the velocity back on, you can even keep that circled if it lets you. But if you turn the reflectivity back on, I'm sorry, we have if we could just see the rain. There we go.
There.
So if the rotation's happening about here, ahead of this, there is all this heavy rain, and surrounding it pretty much, we have some moderate to heavy rainfall going on. So if there is a tornado happening within here, it is going to be very difficult to see. So this also moving to the north and east, probably also containing some 60-mile-per-hour winds within the rest of this line. And if there is not a tornado, probably seeing some of those stronger wind gusts happening as well. So around the Fayette area, just to the west of Strawberry Point, And there's some heavy rain here that's going to prevent you from being able to even see anything, which is not easy there as well. So we have that tornado warning.
We have another
There's
one.
another one. So this is the indication of that rotation that we were just mentioning of some of these spots where we could see rotation occurring. So let's zoom out for a second. We don't have, Grayson, can you confirm that we have not had any confirmed tornadoes?
Nope.
No confirmation. We had a report of a semi that was overturned on Highway 20 between Winthrop and Independence. And now we do have multiple tornado warnings. And regardless of if these are confirmed or not, which thankfully we don't have the confirmation at the moment, however, we need to treat it as such, and there's no reason to be out in these either because we do have some strong winds that are accompanying these storms as well. Do you want to click off of the rain for a second so we can maybe see the cities a little bit better? I'm asking for an odd request. But when we get into the situation, we have these multiple warnings. There we go. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning. That's starting to get to the east of Cedar Rapids for 70-mile-per-hour winds, a higher-end severe thunderstorm warning. We then have these multiple tornado warnings that are ongoing here east of Cedar Rapids. Some weird motion to this one, but all of this is kind of heading due north or northeast, and very quickly at that. So tornado warnings issued. You're hearing sirens. Your weather radio is going off. Your texts are going off. I got my texts going off. That's when you need to take cover and put your safety plan into action and make sure that your family members are safe as we have these storms moving very quickly. We have this storm heading toward the Monticello area, and this is still that Highway 151 area that we were highlighting for the strong winds anyhow. And Anamosa in the path of this one as well here, and this is east of Cedar Rapids, so from around Lisbon to the west of Cascade, and then to the north here. I don't know if they're letting go of this one. Maybe they reissued it. But this is for just the northern side here, north of Independence and Manchester. I don't know if there's any cities that we can point out, but there's Lamont and north of Manchester on Highway 151 into, I think, Backbone State Park. Yep, there we go. And Dundee, beautiful area. If we could leave that, don't do any damage there. We do. I'm just saying, I like Backbone.
It's a nice place.
It is. We do have then this new, the two new warnings. This is one of them up here through Old Wine, Arlington, Maynard, Fayette, Wadena, and Strawberry Point. And this is west of Alcator. Then we have the big yellow area around us. That is the tornado watch. So this has been a concern because we have had multiple storms come through, but we were waiting to see what was going to happen as a warm front was in the area, interacting with it, and also the immense amount of spin in the air today. We now have this severe thunderstorm warning. I think that's also relatively new.
Yes.
That's for Washington County. So we do have this warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds. They say this one's moving to the northeast at 65 miles per hour. These storms are going to be moving incredibly fast. That's why these warning boxes are larger. And so this one is moving northeast as well. And let's see if we have any velocity data on this one. I don't know if they're not putting a tornado possible tag on it. You can definitely see where some of these spikes with the winds going on here, where we could have some of those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Not necessarily a lot of rotation. We know that Hedrick probably not a lot of good feelings when the sirens go off. Almost a year and a month removed from the EF4 tornado there. But we do not have a tornado warning. We just have some strong winds. That storm thankfully to the east of there now, and could have some hail maybe. It says less than a quarter, but there's a little hail indicator showing up there, so I wouldn't be surprised. And that's going to be heading to the north and east. I don't know. I think they're kind of trying to account for this line down to the south here as well. Mm-hmm. So this is all going to be moving toward Washington and between Keokuk and Washington counties here for 60 mile-per-hour winds. This warning actually has 70 on it, so I'll just call it 60 to 70 mile-per-hour winds we'll be concerned for down here. Now I think we got to go back to these tornado warnings and kind of look at some of the velocity data and some of the latest here.
So we put on some of that velocity data there for that particular tornado warning that's for Cedar, Delaware, Dubuque, Jones, and Lynn. Obviously, we're kind of looking for maybe some of these notches on where we could potentially see some areas of rotation, excuse me. Maybe somewhere near Martell, somewhere maybe along Central City. There could potentially be just these real brief kind of tornadoes that pop up maybe all along this line there on that sort of white line that I've just drawn in. We could potentially see something quickly spin up there, at least at this point. As I've been trying to go through some of our places where we can get information, I haven't seen anything confirmed or really anything maybe pointing out that a tornado could potentially develop or has developed, at least for right now. But those are just some of the concerns that we're dealing with. Obviously, we've got, at this point, 3 active tornado warnings across the area, and it's basically all the same thing, where we could have some of these tornadoes that kind of pop up pretty quickly, given the amount of shear that we have in place across the environment. That allows for these potential kind of potential spin-up tornadoes that we will be looking at as we go throughout this evening here, along with several severe thunderstorm warnings that are leading to some very strong winds, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gust.
We do have, this warning here that is for that 70 miles per hour. So as you were saying that, maybe we have those little spin ups. It's also possible in those spots too. That's where we're talking about that 60 to 70 mile per hour wind becoming more common as well. We did have the siren sound earlier in Cedar Rapids, and we now have that storm to the east of the city. I do want to take it down to, or actually let's go up to the north here. I don't want to leave these out. Let's throw the velocity on these as well. So this is through Buchanan and Delaware counties, and then maybe right between Dundee and Strawberry Point, a little bit of rotation, and then up to the north here in Fayette and Fayette County. We have then Clayton County. That's the one I was looking for.
Yes.
And this is getting a little, can you see if we can get into La Crosse's radar and see if that helps at all? Because that might, maybe.
Are we? Oh, we are. This is La Crosse's radar.
Yeah, this is like our center zone where we have issues seeing things on the radar. So this is a tough one, and I am not seeing much indication of rotation. Maybe here.
Oops.
Maybe. And Olwine, it's like if it cycled, maybe here, but that's kind of where it was earlier. So not a lot of organization, at least to these storms. And then there's kind of this, I mean, everything, we're watching things today. We have so much shear and spin in the atmosphere. We were like, every storm is probably going to start spinning, unfortunately. And that's going to be, this is going to be kind of the case where you want to take shelter, even if we are talking about, we don't have the confirmation. There is just, no reason to not be safe. Just better be safe than sorry at this point. So we're not seeing, huge indications. The good news about that is that usually means that we're not seeing, large, huge, long-lasting tornadoes necessarily, but we can still see some of these briefer tornadoes do damage. So that is of some concern there. I want to, is there anything else up here? Have you seen anything?
I'm just kind of going off of what we've been saying. The National Weather Service is just saying kind of from that Buchanan, Delaware County line, of course, up there into Fayette as well. Just kind of every one of these storms could have embedded areas of rotation within them. They'll have sort of that rotation that can come together really quickly, sort of like what we call QLCS or quasi-linear convective systems, where you've just got these little brief tornadoes that can spin up really quickly in these embedded areas of rotation. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, they just said the same thing we said.
So that's basically...
Were they I think they're listening.
You think they're listening to us right now?
I think so. But let's go down to the south here. We do have some, this is all the way south. So we do have this storm as well moving into, and this is kind of this line that's coming out of southeastern Iowa through Sigourney, Fairfield, and up to the north and east. And there was a report, they were saying that potentially some rotation around Fairfield. Looks like, certainly some strong winds. I know we do have a Fairfield camera. And then here's a photo from Fairfield. Looks like I mean, it could be a shelf cloud or maybe some lowering. It's hard to say. Looks like that picture was taken from. Is that from the camera that we have? It
No,
looks like it's taken
we have
kind of
that
high
camera
up.
up. If you want to take
Yeah,
Skycam right now
yeah,
from
we could take the
Fairfield right
Skycam.
now, sort of the same look in a way that we're kind of looking at here. That is our Skycam down there in Fairfield right now. We're obviously you can see some of the clouds. I'm not noticing much. They mentioned rotation down there. Is that
You
what
can
they?
kind of see if you look right at the base of those clouds. There's some. Looks like there's some rotation.
A little bit of movement ongoing.
Yeah, some movement. I was gonna say if we leave the sky camera up, I was kind of taking a look at Cedar Rapids. I don't know if it's still happening, but you can just see. I mean, look at how fast the clouds are moving there. It doesn't seem like it's that fast, but that's pretty fast. Like they're going. So we do have this motion in the atmosphere that is driving these storms and that potential for the rotation. We do have Brett Adair's stream as well. So he's around the Richland area, which is getting into Washington County and into our area. So he's just kind of turned away from the storm there as he's trying to get into some position. But I would imagine, he's probably looking at some of the rotation that's maybe just around Sigourney and Harper,
I might have some
west
of that.
of Keota. Were we looking at the same thing?
No, I just switched.
There we go.
Velocities.
So yeah, we did get there. We do have, that rotation right along. It's kind of a small area at this point, but just between Sigourney and Keota, that may be what he's kind of looking at there potentially. That's also where we would see some of those stronger winds on the order of 60 miles per hour or so. Let's continue to the north and just kind of do our little radar tour here as we have all these storms going on. And the reason why we are here is because we do have multiple tornado warnings that are going on. We do have warnings that are to the north. So there are some storms going into Williamsburg, Blairstown, close to Benton again. Those are not warned currently. We do have, though, this severe thunderstorm warning that extends through Johnson County, Cedar County, into maybe a sliver of Johnson County, but Lynn County. And we have then these tornado warnings. And so northeastern Lynn County was added in this one. I don't know if that was new, but it might have been for the update that we have the tornado warning here for portions of Anamosa, Monticello, and Highway 151 wouldn't be on that one right now because regardless, you're talking about some 60, 70 mile per hour winds.
Speaking of Highway 151, right now in Jones County, there's actually a semi jackknife in the median mile marker 48 there. So we're seeing some of the strong winds and how they're affecting some of those high profile vehicles right now that are traveling on some of those roadways.
Yeah, we don't love to hear that. And that's the second report we've had at least of another semi. Yeah, so 151, that's kind of the spot we were talking about. We have some rotation that was being reported around Stanley, so that's in the northern storm there. But we do have Buchanan County, or no, maybe that was further to the south. I apologize. But we do have some rotation that was southwest of Stanley moving northeast. So I don't know if you want to turn the velocity on and see if we can see anything out of this one, but
I'm going to be hopping in between radar sites here, so might get a little messy.
And Stanley is southeast of Olwine and northeast of Hazleton, so it is a little further down here, but maybe just in here. And so so these are some spots near Backbone, east of Aurora, toward then Strawberry Point. And then we have our other storm up this way, Maynard, perhaps some rotation around there. Fayette, some gusty winds around Arlington as well. And so kind of the bottom line here is that if you're in these polygons and you see your city name, you see your county name, this is just a time to be in your safe space, be in an interior room, lowest level, no reason to be outside trying to look for anything. We have some heavy rainfall that's going on with these as well. And we also have some strong winds elsewhere. We've heard multiple reports of, unfortunately, semis being overturned and causing incidents on the roads as well. So we want to make sure that we can avoid being out there as much as possible. I know a lot of kids getting out of school. I don't know if we have gotten any information of any concerns with any of the school districts or anything, but definitely not probably the best time, as we just had all these warnings kind of really ramp up and these storms start to ramp up as school was getting released.
Yeah, never a good time, and I can maybe try and take a look and see if we've got anything going on schools wise. Obviously, with the storm in Fayette County, so what we're basically on, kind of looking at maybe some of that rotation near Arlington there, if we put on velocity, which we might have a little bit difficult time seeing that, but we could potentially be seeing maybe some of that rotation sort of in this area here. But as Rebecca said, I mean, we're kind of going to be just, if you're in one of these warnings, take it very seriously here. Watching some rotation aloft going between Maynard and Arlington, which is what I have circled there. This is rapidly moving north. Things reflectivity-wise not looking quite as good. That is a message from the National Weather Service. So we had that area potentially circled, but
so not
yeah.
quite as good, meaning not as strong.
Not as strong. Yeah.
In the weather speak of doesn't look as good. Yes. So so Arlington. I mean, we kind of been pointing out some of those spots, trying to determine why, the reason for the tornado warning. This also does not have a severe warning on it necessarily, but could have still some gusty winds, and we do have those tornado warnings that continue there. So let's see, I don't know if we've gotten any other reports. So we've got some small hail, some wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour, kind of right on that edge of the severe limits. And then we have just the Weather Service keeping an eye on everything. Highway 20 has an eastbound lane open, is what they said, and they're letting go of some of these tornado warnings. So the Buchanan and Delaware one is going to be let go, which 345 we're coming up on here shortly, so that makes sense. This one is also until 345, so I'm guessing they're going to just let that ride. We have this one until 345, and things are calming down here. I think like the birds are chirping in Cedar Rapids again because that storm just blew through. But we do have still those strong winds now heading to the east, and these kind of embedded spots of rotation that are possible. So kind of almost from the Quad Cities radar can see all of these little spots of rotation happening. But in this line, we have from Anamosa up to Olwine and to the north, and what is that town? West Union. Oh, there we go. Look, you can almost see these pockets of spin. Now that's getting very far away from the radar, so that's probably pretty elevated rotation that's happening. And what happens there is if a storm is spinning in the mid levels of the atmosphere, that can definitely happen, but it's probably not necessarily as strong at the surface. And then maybe southwest of Alcator there, I think that would be the same spot they were just discussing. And they're letting this one go, which makes sense. Don't really see much rotation there. Still, though, to the east of Independence and into Manchester and on these areas to the east along Highway 20, we could still see those 60-mile-per-hour winds with the severe thunderstorm warning. And then down to the south here, just to the west of Highway 151, between Monticello and Anamosa, that's where there could be some rotation there and perhaps spin up with a tornado with that severe warning. So it looks like the rotation's getting out of Lynn County to the east of Central City and then heading to the north, toward Monticello, and maybe if it's on its path, kind of be close to Highway 151. I've already gotten one report at least of a semi that was off the road due to the storm going through there in Jones County, and then that's going to be continuing to head to the east. So still seeing that, a bit of rotation there. Monticello, if we can zoom in, and kind of see if there are some other towns there near the Monticello area we can kind of point out. So around Cass, Hopkinton, right in between here basically would be some of those spots. We can zoom in even further. Castle Grove, so north and west of Langworthy. But if you're in any of these areas around Monticello and Cascade especially, tornado precautions are happening right now. We need to be in our basement or central part of the lowest level of your home, whether that be a bathroom, a laundry room. It does not matter. And avoid traveling on the roads. I know we're getting close to that evening drive time as well. And we do have we were seeing cameras, lots of people out on the streets as well already. So just kind of delaying if you can until these storms pass through. The good news is they're moving. They're booking it.
They're moving very fast. I have a couple of school updates here now
Okay.
that we're coming in. So some of these, we're just figuring them out now, but coming up here within the next couple of minutes, East Buchanan obviously had those tornado conditions. They had all their students and staff safely within their safe room. They are not going to dismiss anybody, but they are going to reevaluate here within the next couple of minutes at 3:45 to release those students or the buses, as well as Independence School District. They went obviously under their tornado warning. Their students and staff, they were sheltered in place, and then buses will not load until all the clear is given. They will send out a message once they start to load the buses here. And the same thing at Monticello. Their students and their buses, they were unloaded, directed in kind of inside and everything. So a lot of the school districts obviously know once those tornado warnings come up, they have things that are in place to where they get those students inside buildings if they are on buses before that school day gets let out. So a lot of those are working. I'm sure if you've got students, you've got children who are at those schools, I would wait for them to kind of give you messages on what they plan to do as they start to kind of release those kids out as these tornado warnings move out or expire.
Yeah, that was, my first thought, because my kids get out 3:15, so I saw some of, I was checking in on some friends, and my stepkids were, they got out, they waited for the storm to pass there, and so we're able to just wait for that storm to move through. It unfortunately came just right at that time where we had nothing going on, and all of a sudden ramped up. So I will say we have these multiple warnings going on at the moment. That's not correct, but we do, I keep hitting the wrong button, but we do have these storms that continue. These tornado warnings are likely going to expire here shortly, and we have not had any confirmation. We have had, though, some strong winds. We had that semi-jackknifed in the medium Highway 151, which is right on the Lynn-Jones County line, which makes sense. We then have this severe thunderstorm warning getting out of Tipton, heading toward Wyoming with some maybe 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then we still have this storm down to the south. We do have our road warrior out today, and we have Nick Weig that is in the road warrior, and we got some, it looks like some modest clouds going on. So Nick, you're right ahead of that storm in Washington County. What have things been looking like?
Well, Rebecca, we've been trying to stay out ahead of this little shelf cloud on the leading edge of the storms now passing through Keota. We were just in the Brighton area in the southwestern portion of Washington County. We're kind of making a diagonal move back to the northeast towards Washington to try and stay on the leading edge of this. There have been some little pieces of evidence of rotation on the leading edge, but this line is really showing signs of maybe producing more stronger winds than anything else, as it is bowing out in sections and is really consolidating into a linear line right now. But right now we're going to try and stay out ahead of it in case conditions change. It is moving into an area of Washington County that did see a decent amount of sun between these storm lines. And so there's certainly some fuel out there to play with, and it's just a matter of everything coming together, whether or not it can produce a tornado. But right now it seems like the main threat with these storms has been the risk of strong winds, straight line winds, potentially doing damage here in southeast Iowa. Rebecca?
Yeah, and they did just extend the tornado warning down there, or the, severe thunderstorm warning down there. They're still saying 60-mile-per-hour winds. But then they've extended this kind of secondary line, and then down to the south, we do have a tornado warning for this storm coming out of Missouri, and that includes Keosauqua, and that would likely stay out of our area as this all kind of heads to the east. We do have some video from Brett Adair, who's been down around the Fairfield area, and I don't know if he's live right now. If that's what we've got, we can take that. But we do have, so I mean, some very heavy rain and some strong winds, as Nick was indicating. That's kind of been the driving force with this storm, and it is exhibiting this, as you mentioned, bowing feature, where you have this kind of bow to things, but some very heavy rain there, and looks like some strong winds around the Fairfield area. That is just to the south of Washington County, around the Richland area, and some pockets of some heavy rain and maybe some hail there as well. But we have not gotten any other reports that would indicate anything otherwise going on. Now, here's the deal. We do have no tornado warning currently in the area, and we have these severe thunderstorm warnings that continue. And we have, I'm going to run through them really quickly here, but this is around Buchanan, Delaware, Dubuque, Jones County. It's pretty much getting out of Lynn County here, and around Manchester, 60-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rain, and this had a history of producing some rotation. They have since let it go. I'll check velocity for good measure. They just issued another warning. We do have, a few of these little pockets of rotation. We do have a report that just came in for that severe storm, North English, and a lot of heavy rain and hail and 50-mile-per-hour winds, a tree down, and 1-inch diameter hail. So that is what just happened here with a new severe thunderstorm warning. So North English in Iowa County, and that's that storm traveling out of Washington and Keokuk County there. Kind of this whole line, 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-size hail. So that's a severe thunderstorm right on the nose. And this is going into Williamsburg and then heading toward Washington. And we have this warning until 4:30, and we are going to continue to keep an eye on that if we see any larger hail develop. But you can kind of just see these pinks here. That's indicating some of that hail there around North English to Wellman and east. If you're going to be leaving in the next, basically the next hour, especially to the east of Williamsburg on I-80, we're going to have some heavy rain and probably some hail going on. I wouldn't want that to my car going, how fast do you go on I-80? 60 miles per hour. But we do have some, these storms continuing to go 50 miles per hour to the north and east. So, I mean, these are racing. They do have a tornado possible tag on this one. So if we just kind of time this out a little bit, that's going to be crossing I-80 within the next basically 15 to 20 minutes. Around Cedar Rapids, we could see some of this rain on kind of the northern edge. Iowa City around 4:10, West Liberty around 4:20 to 4:30, Anamosa around 4:30, Monticello 4:30 to 4:45, and then Cascade closer to 5 p.m. where there are some storms moving through at the moment. And we do not have any tornado warnings, though, currently. There is one by Fort Dodge, and what I had just been looking at a little bit are these little storms starting to pop up on I-35. So that would be my next concern if we get around two. Those could potentially pose more of the tornado threat if they were to develop. Now, they were in an area where the sun came out, and we got still a lot of wind shear and spin in the atmosphere. We do have a tornado watch that continues until 8 p.m. But otherwise, I do not have a reason to do continuous coverage at this point. Have we have any other reports that you would like to pass along?
No, still nothing confirmed, really. I think I saw that the watch or the warning here expired just a few minutes ago, but
yeah, so they've expired all the tornado warnings.
Just talking about maybe we could see within the next 60, 75 minutes, parts of the area maybe looking to have some of that rotation, so we could maybe potentially have a tornado threat over the next maybe hour and a half to 2 hours. So that'll be something to watch even as we go forward, especially watching some of those storms now kind of developing off to our east, and obviously this line that is forming
Yeah.
with severe thunderstorm warnings
So
from
the
Cedar. Yeah.
Weather Service is continuing to watch this entire area, basically. So this, we still have these severe thunderstorm warnings for Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Washington, Manchester, heading close to Dubuque. And these storms could still pose that kind of quick spin up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the coverage go here. If we have to come back on for a tornado warning, I would not be surprised. But I would encourage you to continue to have multiple ways to get warning. Still take these severe thunderstorm warnings, and if you had plans to be out and about, I mean, we have the potential that even if it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. We've seen semis getting blown off the roads, and we also could have some hail that's falling within that as well. And we could see these quick spin ups with the tornadoes that could cause even more trouble if they do. So just continue to stay tuned for any additional warnings. Make sure you have any of your apps and weather radios and everything tuned in for that. And we will update you if any more tornado warnings do come across. That tornado threat does remain elevated in the area for especially the next about 90 minutes. And we still have a tornado watch until 8 o'clock tonight. So we will take it back to regular scheduled programming. And of course, we'll have more updates if we don't have a warning between now and then, coming up on Iowa's News Now at 5 p.m.
Get Weather Warn alerts on all your devices. Stay ahead of the storm with Iowa's News Now, Weather First.